in the last stream, we began working on our first bits of automation with the gold and the item dropper into the liquid starlight to produce iron. We also got our angel ring, of course, and set up our watermills here to produce grid power. As you can see, between streams, I have gone ahead and done a little bit of work to try and make the base here look a little bit nicer and also to give us a little bit more space for organization. I don't believe we can move this middle collector crystal here. And so what I did is I grabbed basically everything in our base and moved it away. So right now, they're all kind of over here. You can grab basically anything in the game by just shift right-clicking and using the carry-on mod. So I moved almost everything that we could away from the base, and then slowly but surely, using our infinite marble and infinite dark oak wood, began rebuilding this base here. I also replaced all of our chests with these radiant chests, because of course, at the end of the last stream, we did also get the manifest here, which if we right-click, does show us all of the stuff that we currently have in all of our radiant chests. Unfortunately, doesn't let you pull any of these items out, so not quite as good as something like a refined storage or an applied energistics, but if you're looking for one item in particular, you can go ahead and type it in, click on it, and it will show you exactly which chest and even which slot that item is in, which is super nice as well. And yeah, I've also made a few more of these radiant resonators. Right now, they're not set up to auto break, but that is because I do have a new plan for them in today's stream. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, we do also have this guy over here, which is just missing a way of actually moving the gold into the iron dropper. And at that point, we would then have unlimited iron once again. Now, the reason that I have not moved the iron barrel back over here, and the reason I've not moved the radiant quartz barrel over, is because I think we're going to move away from using these Yabba barrels. They are pretty good, and they are pretty cheap, but they don't really match with the theme of the base. And storage drawers, which is another mod that we found out we have in the last stream, has the framing table, which lets you make these framed drawers and then color them basically however you like. You can use any of the blocks in the game to color your storage drawers to match with the theme of the base, right? And so, for example, we could make some storage drawers out of marble, out of dark oak planks, out of sooty marble as well. There's a bunch of stuff that we could do to make them look and make them fit in with the base, right? So, to make the framing drawer, you need 5 trim of any kind of wood. We're, of course, going to use dark oak because that's what we have. The oak trim, I believe, is super easy to make. Yep, it's just 5 wood and 4 sticks, none of which should be too difficult. So if we quickly go ahead and do something like this, that's going to get us a bunch of trim. And then if we go ahead and do something like this, we get the framing table. So if we go ahead and put this down, let's say for now, like right about here, we'll probably move this in the future. But essentially, what you can do here is if you make some of the framed drawers, which are just a chest with sticks, so again, fairly easy stuff, you can then put those in and color them however you like. There are 3 slots that you can use for coloring, and each of those slots relates to a different part of the block. So the bottom slot here is, actually, I guess we'll start with the top left slot. The top left slot is kind of the main block that you want your drawer to look like. So you'll see right out of the gate, if we put marble bricks in there, the whole storage drawer looks like marble bricks. You then have this bottom slot here, which is the front face, so the area where the item would actually show. So if we throw that in like so, you'll see the front is now like flat marble as opposed to marble brick. It's probably going to be more easier to spot the difference if I don't use marble there. And then the final block up here is for the edges, kind of the trim around the edge of the frame here. And so if, for example, we were to put dark oak wood in there, it would have a dark oak edge, which I'm not a huge fan of there, but you can do. Now, I think what we're probably going to go with, I'm a big fan of like these flat white fronts. And I think I could be sold on something like this. I quite like the marble brick. We've got a good amount of marble brick around the base. And I do like kind of the black accent there. It kind of works with the sooty marble that we have around the base. We could, if we wanted to, go ahead and chisel that sooty marble a little bit. For example, you can get sooty marble bricks, which I think would kind of change it ever so slightly. I kind of like this. I think this is pretty nice, actually. And so once we have that, we can then go ahead and pull these out. We'll just take the one for now. We can always get more in the future if we want them to look exactly the same. Actually, I did also think that we do have gold here, and we could also, if we wanted to, chat, go with some chiseled gold. It's just hit me because we do have like this here, which has also got like a bit of a gold trim to it. There's not really much gold around the base, but there are these little bits of it kind of dotted here and there. And so one thing you can do is, of course, we could just put a block of gold as the trim, which I don't think would look great, although it doesn't look terrible. You can also, though, kind of chisel this to look a little bit more kind of gold as opposed to the yellow that is default Minecraft. So we could do something like this as well and go for kind of a more ornate look to the storage drawers. Okay, so we'll go with the one on the left. We've done a bit of tinkering here with some of the gold, but I don't think it looks particularly great. Do we have the ability to make a crystal axe? We totally do, and I think we should totally do that because right now we don't have any axe whatsoever, and it is a pain in the backside. One thing that I also do need to do here, chat, is I need to link my collector crystal to this guy, something I've yet to do. We also need to unlink the collector crystal from this block here. Previously, this is the block we were using to, transform items using the collector crystal. If you want to disconnect the collector crystal from something, you have to right-click on the crystal and then shift right-click on the block that it's connected to, at which point that connection will then disappear. Perfect. And so now, if we come on over here, we should be able to make ourselves one of these. Yes, we just need the resonating wand, which I believe we should have over in here. We totally do. Nice. All right, that's going to allow me to move these guys much more easily. And at that point, I think the first thing, these don't work with I guess it's because it's a crystal axe. It probably only works on specific things, much like the marble axe, which is a little disappointing. It's not a huge deal. We can, of course, go ahead and make presumably just a regular vanilla Minecraft axe. But it would have been nice if that was, decently fast. There we go. So yeah, essentially, chat, what I'm thinking here is, to start with, of course, we can go ahead and grab our advanced item collector and then go and put this drawer down as the new drawer for iron. I also think that we're probably going to move away from using transfer nodes and instead switch into using translocators. They're super cheap and they're just so much better in terms of moving items quickly. And I also think they look a lot better as well. I'm a big fan of just watching all of the items flow down like that. I think it looks great. At that point, we'll throw down the drawer, I think, probably right about here. Actually, I'm just thinking where I want to put the iron. I think I might have the iron drawer here, like that. And then we'll have the advanced collector on there to collect all the iron that drops out. Like so. We, of course, do want to set this to constantly eject. There we go. We also want to make sure that you're set to iron, like that. Unfortunately, unlike the Yabba barrels, you can't easily shift right click and lock these drawers. You do have to make a specific key for it. Thankfully, the key to make it is really not too difficult. It is going to require a storage drawer. And in fact, can you make it with trim? I actually don't know. Let me check. Can you make... You can't. Okay, you do have to have a storage drawer. That is actually fine. If we do something like this and like this, that gets us a regular oak drawer, which we could then craft up with some sticks. That gets us an upgrade base, this guy right here, or an upgrade template, I should say. And then at that point, it's just 1 gold nugget and 2 gold ingots, both of which are basically free. And there we go, we get a key. Nice. At which point, we can then right-click over here. And that's going to lock that drawer so it only accepts iron. Even if we take all the iron out, it will still show as only allowing iron in there. Cool. So you'll notice, chat, that there are 7 holes in the ground here. And the reason for those 7 holes are that if we go ahead and type in Starlight into JEI, there are 7 items that you can drop into Starlight that I think are going to be particularly useful. The first one, of course, is iron. Then we have Stardust and Redstone. I think all of these 3 are things we want to automate. On page 2, we have Glowstone, we have Prismarine Crystals, and we have Nether Quartz. Again, I think all of those 3 are things that we're going to want to automate. The reason we have to automate the Prismarine Crystals, of course, is that they're used in the making of Lapis, which is then used in the making of things like diamonds. So all of that stuff is needed. All of that is automated. On the 3rd page, I think we only need to automate diamonds here. I don't think we need to automate the making of enchanted clocks, nor do I think we need to automate the process of making drops of evil. We might make some in the future, but I think we have to automate it. And then on the final page, we have a process for turning forbidden fruit into regular fruit. Again, not something I think we need to automate, at least not just yet. The only reason I could see us needing this is if we try and get the quest for the Rainbow Stone. The Rainbow Stone requires the Rainbow Generator. The Rainbow Generator requires all of the extra utilities generators be running simultaneously. And so we could, if we wanted to, look at auto-crafting these forbidden fruit and then turning those into regular apples to feed into a culinary generator to generate power. But for now, that really doesn't seem like something we need to worry about too much. So essentially, most of those are going to be droppers. The Twitch chat does handily point out that right now we don't have a void upgrade on this drawer here. So once this fills up, and by the way, storage drawers can hold 2,048 items by default. You can shift right click to put upgrades in. One of the upgrades that we should definitely look at getting sooner rather than later is the void upgrade, which will, much like with the Yabba barrels, delete any excess that's put in after it reaches its maximum capacity. So once we hit 2,048, it would then start deleting any excess. Unfortunately, that does require obsidian, and as of right now, the obsidian is actually surprisingly difficult for us to get. It requires a magma block, which is for magma creams, which requires a slime ball, which is made from an ender pearl, and a super lubricant tincture, which is made from seeds, water, and beans, which are made from seeds, and vines, which are made from ladders. It's all doable, but it's just quite a long crafting process to get one piece of obsidian, right? And we have to get multiple pieces of obsidian, so we probably do want to get, more of that in the future. We could probably look at automating this process here, the process of taking the netherrack, putting it into the light wells, and then pulling the lava out of the light wells and turning that into obsidian. That would probably be a faster way of us getting it, at least like on an automated front. For now though, let's go ahead and let's craft up, if we can, like 6 more droppers and see if we can get 6 buckets of liquid starlight. I do believe that we have, I think, 15 buckets of liquid starlight over here. We do, yeah. So we should have more than enough to fill all of those in. As for the 6 droppers, those are also nice and easy. We do have over a stack of redstone, and we also have, of course, a ton of iron as well. So let's go ahead and just make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of those. I do think we want to keep them probably as low to the ground as possible. Like you'll see, this one is just 1 block above the starlight. I guess you could, if you wanted, to put it directly above the starlight as well. But I think we'll probably just go with the same as we've got here. We'll have it like just above like that. It's a little awkward kind of trying to place this down correctly. This, by the way, is just chiseled dark oak wood. So I will go ahead and get some more of that for the floor here. Because I think what we're going to do is probably fill like all of these in underneath so we can place the starlight in. And then we'll just place the droppers above them. And then the tricky part, of course, is going to be actually trying to automate all of the stuff. All right, so all of these are now down, and we have all of our liquid starlight down as well. I do want to do a quick pivot here, actually, chat, into a super nifty item from Extra Utilities, and that is the Ender Porcupine here. There is a quest for it, and it says, a block that acts like another. The Ender Porcupine is a curious block. It allows you to interact with a block at a remote destination. This has its uses from quarries to questing blocks. So this guy is actually super neat. I'm going to go ahead and bookmark it. And we do also get 4 at a time with this recipe, which is also very nice. It's also not too difficult to make. It's 4 ender pearls, 4 sooty marble, and then 1 colored lens, which is made with 4 stardust, 2 resonating gems, 2 illumination powder, and a glass lens. I think we should have most of that. We have 1 resonating lens. We can, of course, make another one over here. That shouldn't take too long. While we wait for that, we should also, I believe, have some spare lenses from last stream. We totally do. The illumination powder is not too bad whatsoever. I do believe we're going to need some gold dust in order to make that glowstone, which is, again, not a problem. We do need to reset up the crusher that we had previously. And so I guess what we'll do, it's going to be a little janky, chat, but if we do something like this and we once again put down those translocators here and here, we can now, of course, throw the gold in. We can also put in those speed upgrades we made previously as well. This machine only uses 4.38 grid power with the full speed upgrades, unlike the Resonator, which used 80. So thankfully, that's going to be nice and quick. And at that point, we can, of course, go ahead and drop those in over here. We are going to have to make more crushers today because, again, the whole point of this exercise, and the fact that we can't pick that up is super unfortunate. But, of course, the whole point of this exercise is to automate stuff like this. So hopefully later on today, we're going to have glowstone automated. For now, though, if we go and grab this guy, and if we craft up that glowstone with an aquamarine crystal, we should be able to get some of that illumination powder. $16 to be precise. And then at that point, I think we have basically everything, right? So let's do the purple lens. Which is definitely taking longer than I thought it would, but that's completely fine. Beautiful. And at that point, all we need to do is unchisel the sooty marble. I actually don't know if you can use it in its chiseled form, but either way, at that point, we can then grab, of course, some of our ender pearls. And that should be everything for the ender porcupine. It is. Perfect. So this is actually super cool. So, for example, just to kind of show you how this can work, or one of the ways that this can work, if we wanted to fuel this overclock generator using the wood from this item barrel, what we can do is we can put down an ender porcupine right here. You can then right-click on it, and it comes up with this interface, which is a little intimidating at first, but it's pretty straightforward. So we have to select the area that we want the porcupine to focus on. And you'll see we have X, Y, and Z, these numbers here, and they change the area that it's scanning. Right now, we are moving. I'm looking under my minimap here. We're moving in the negative X direction. If we move forward, you'll see the numbers getting smaller there. So we want to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks in the negative X direction, and then 1, 2, 3 blocks in the negative Z direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3. And you'll see right now it's covering the area. If you hover over it, you'll see it's covering the area from the porcupine to the draw there. That's not what we want. We want it specifically on that one draw there. So what we can do is we can do the exact same down here, -5 and -3. And now it's kind of hard to see, but if we hover over the porcupine, that draw with the wood in it lights up. Again, a little hard to see, but it's now focused solely on this item barrel here. The super cool thing about that is that now, if I do this and this, look at that. It's acting as the draw and pumping wood from that draw into this overclock generator. It does use grid power. You'll see right now it's using 8 grid power, which is actually quite pricey. It says, I think, that it uses grid power proportional to the distance covered by the portal, so proportional to how far away you go. If you tried doing this, super far away, the amount of grid power could be insane. But this is pretty neat. Another super nifty thing we can do, and one thing that I think we are going to do here, is we can use this ender porcupine to break our crystals, which is going to be real nice. Up until now, we've been using the mechanical miner, which works, but making multiple of them is a little pricey. You need these yellow lenses, which require diamonds, which require lapis and prismarine shards, and it's a whole thing, right? But what we can do here is, for example, let's say we put this down. Potentially, let's put the block breaker here, the miner. For now, we'll go ahead and turn that off. And we'll put the porcupine right here, right? We'll then reset this. What we can then do is, this time we're moving in the positive Z direction. So we're going to move it forward by 1 in the Z direction. You'll see it's there now. And we want it now to cover a larger area because I want it to cover all of the crystals. So what we can do is we can increase the the X range by, I think 6 is what we want. And now you'll see it's a bit too far to the left. So what we can do then is we can move it a bit further in, down here, we can move it in the negative X direction. Oh no, okay, so we want to do 3 here. Oh, sorry, 2 here and 2 here. There we go. Okay, that is almost perfect. We just then want to move it up by 1 in the Z. All right, that took, oh no, I was right before, 3 and 3. There we go. So basically what we've done here is we've said, go forward by 1 in the Z direction, and then go left, or positive 3 in the X direction and negative 3 in the X direction. So now all of those crystals are highlighted. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, I don't know how well it comes across on video, but each one, but basically what it's doing now is it's going through each and every one of those crystals one by one. You'll see it's kind of cycling through the selected area. So if we now go ahead and turn this on, it's going to one by one cycle through and break every single one of those crystals. So it's treating this ender porcupine as a crystal. It's going through each and every one of them one by one and depositing those crystals into this miner here, which is super cool. It means that we can now harvest really as many of these as we like, especially how, given how slowly they grow back. I think this is a more than adequate way of doing this. If we wanted to, we could add 7 more to the front here and then do this all over again. And this is only using a little bit of grid power. You'll see the grid power drain actually changes depending on which block it's selecting. At some points in time, it's using 4. At some points in time, it's using 1, depending on how far away you go. So the most optimal way of doing it would be to have your resonators kind of circling the porcupine. That would be like the minimum amount of distance between the porcupine and the resonators. But yeah, that should now allow us to automate this super easily and expand out this to get more crystals going forward, which is definitely something we need to do, because not only do we need the crystals for Nether Quartz, we also need to crush them into dust to make redstone. And on top of that, we also have to craft them into blocks and then crush those blocks to make shaped radiant quartz, which we can then craft into prismarine shards, because we need the prismarine shards to make lapis and therefore diamonds. So we do need quite a few of these. What I think we might do here is I think we'll go and grab a new drawer. And of course, we want to go back to our old design, which is this one here. I think we'll have a drawer for crystals here. This is obviously not a very easy to access drawer, but I think that's fine. We're not really going to be using the crystals in their crystal form, I don't think. So we're going to pull all of the crystals out of here, around into here, like that. And of course, we'll go ahead and lock that drawer to crystals. I then think we're going to go and utilize our first ender chest to transport the crystals over here, because of course, most of the uses that we're going to have for the crystals are going to be over in this area. And by utilizing the ender chest, we can basically have one ender chest over here that kind of stores all the crystals and collects them from the place that they're made. But then over here, we can have multiple ender chests that send, some of the crystals to be crafted into blocks to make those prismarine shards. We can have some of them sent to a crusher to make the redstone dust. And we can have some of them dropped directly into the starlight to make nether quartz, and basically have all that sent round, right? So if we want to make an ender chest, we need 4 glowstone, 2 sooty marble, 1 chiseled marble, a gold, and an ender pearl. Okay, that seems very doable. An ender pearl we currently do not have, but we can go and grab some more over here. And then glowstone wise, we are going to need 4 gold, but again, that shouldn't be a problem now. Let's go ahead and throw you back in there. And for now, at least, let's go and move this guy back over here. The main reason I made the porcupines, by the way, I know this seemed like a bit of a side tangent, was that I'm thinking over here, what we can do is we can utilize the ender porcupines as a way of moving the iron ingots, right? So the iron ingots are made in this drawer here. If, for example, we wanted to automate the making of stardust, instead of trying to move the items using something like ender chests, which we could definitely do, I think that it would be a lot cleaner if we just had a porcupine that was pumping items into a crusher, that crusher obviously turning iron into iron dust, and then dropping that iron dust into the ground, right? I think that's going to be a lot cleaner of a setup, and I think it's going to look a lot cooler, despite the fact that it's going to use a little bit more in the way of grid power. So you get 4 at a time, actually. I was going to make 2 sets there, but we don't need to. You get 4 ender chests per craft, which is super useful. For now, we are playing single player, so for now we can stick with the default color variation of white, 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 which I think is fine for these crystals. Later on, if we want to use a lot of ender chests, we can go ahead and start configuring the color coordination there. But for now, I think we can probably get away with just sending all of our crystals over into here, like so. And then, like I mentioned, at that point, we then want to have, thankfully, 3 more ender chests over here. So it's at this point in time that we probably need to look at getting a few more crushers, right? Because we need 1 crusher to crush these crystals to make redstone. We need 1 crusher to crush gold to make glowstone, and we need 1 crusher to crush iron to make stardust. So 3 crushers in total. We do have one, and making 2 more of them really isn't going to be too difficult for us. I do believe that we have 2 more machine blocks. We totally do. We used the other 2 for these 2 machines here. And then, other than that, it's just 2 more grinders, right? 2 more grindstones, even. Yeah, both of which really shouldn't be a problem for us. Sticks we have, planks we can make. Let me get rid of some of these other logs. They're kind of clogging up our inventory unnecessarily. And then let's do 2 of you. Right click. Perfect. And at that point, the only thing that we're missing to actually make the crusher is the ruined marble, the stardust, and the sooty marble pillars, all of which I think are going to be real easy for us to do. The question is, do we have some sooty marble lying around? We actually have it in pillar form from when we made the last crusher, which is perfect. Marble-wise, we can go ahead and just chisel some of this. Perfect. We'll put the rest back for now. And then stardust, which we have 1. We could definitely do with a few more, though. Let's go ahead and throw 1 more iron dust away. Again, for now, we'll just drop this in here. A little janky, but it does work. And at that point, that should be everything, hopefully, to make 2 more crushers. It is not. Did I not make 2 here? Oh, no, I did. Maybe you have to right-click twice. I thought you could craft in bulk there, but maybe if the grindstones don't stack, then maybe you can't craft those in bulk. Either way, we now have 3 crushers. Perfect. So as I mentioned before, this is kind of where one of my porcupine ideas comes into play. So I'm thinking that we have a crusher here. This crusher, of course, is going to make iron dust. So what we want to have here is we want to have another translocator with a porcupine above it. Now, we have to choose whether or not we want this to look nice or be cheaper. Because I was thinking of putting the porcupine here, which I think looks the best, right? And then have it pull out both here and up here, and just go straight down. If we put the porcupine like here, and had the translocators here, that would make it easier for it to access the iron, and therefore use less grid power. And while we do have a good amount of grid power right now, I think we could very quickly start to see our amount of grid power, draining quite rapidly if we're not careful with stuff like this. So I think for now, we will put the porcupine like right here. It looks a little janky, but I think it's actually fine. So here we're moving in the negative Z direction by 1 block. So we'll go Z is here, -1. The end is also -1 there. And then we want to go down by 2 in the Y direction. So down 2 and down 2. And then we want to go in the positive X direction by 2, I think. So that should now be selecting the iron drawer. It totally is. Perfect. And then from there, we can go ahead and do this. And of course, we want to go the other way. Like that. And there we go. So now we have iron being moved in, which I think is super cool. And then we can have that go down into the dropper, get dropped down automatically. And then from there, of course, we want to get 1 more drawer. I actually don't think we need the advanced item collectors for this. So I think a regular item collector might work. Although I'm either going to upgrade them all to advanced or downgrade this one to normal because I don't like the fact that they don't match. But that's totally fine. And that should produce us the dust that we're after. The only thing stopping us now is the crusher, right? The crusher currently doesn't have power. And for that, our good old friend Extra Utilities 2 does have another answer. Extra Utilities 2 also the mod that the porcupine is from there. And that comes in the form of the wireless battery and the wireless RF transmitters. These are going to allow us to wirelessly send power to all of our crushers, which right now at least don't use that much power. The wireless RF transmitters can only send 80 redstone flux per tick, but I think that's actually going to be perfectly fine. These guys, by default, I believe use 40 redstone flux per tick. And by the way, that 80 is per block, not in total. And so that should be totally fine. Even with a few speed upgrades, I think that would also be A-okay. So to make these, we need 2 blocks of redstone, super easy. Another resonating redstone crystal, again, not going to be a problem. And then some stone burnt. That gets us the wireless RF battery. And then in terms of making the actual wireless RF transmitters, they are more resonating redstone crystals and stone burnt. Again, none of that seems too difficult. Do we have any stone burnt? It doesn't look like we do. I should really get in the habit of just looking in here. So let's go ahead and throw down our resonator. Again, we'll put it down temporarily right about here. and we'll get some more stoneburnt going. We should, I think, have 24 grid power spare. It's possible that if we start flying, maybe we don't have the grid power. Yeah, we don't. Okay, so if we stay on the ground, we can use 2 speed upgrades. I do need to get like a sound muffler down over here for the sound these guys make. It's a little loud, but for the most part, actually perfectly fine. We can also now, I guess, start moving. Oh gosh, of course we don't have the flight, you fool. We could start moving all of this stuff back. And for now, let's just drop all those in there. So let's see. Do we have what it takes to make some of this? I think we definitely do. Let's grab our glass cutter. Do one of these. That's going to get us some resonating redstone crystals. I think 2 might be enough. We only need 1 for the wireless battery, as well as 1 more block of redstone, so that is doable. And then, for now, we only need, I think 1 wireless RF transmitter. We, of course, are probably going to move this in the future, but for now, just as a proof of concept, this is now full on power, 3,200 redstone flux. If we take this wireless RF transmitter and we put it down basically anywhere near this crusher, I'm not quite sure what the max range is, but for example, we could put it down right here. It doesn't have to be, you could put it on the crusher, but it doesn't have to be on the crusher. You could put it nearby. And then if you right click it, you'll see that it's sending power to any nearby block that can accept redstone flux. And look at that. The power is being wirelessly transferred from the overclock generator around, through, and into the crusher. I love it. And that is slowly but surely crushing that down. Let's do a quick test here. If we put 1 speed upgrade in, that is holding steady. I do wish that extra utilities would show you how much power is being used. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to do that. If we put 2 in, that is still holding steady, so still less than 80 redstone flux per tick. I will try with the 3rd one here, although I think the 3rd one might tip us over the edge. No. It's only when you put the 4th one in that it starts to use more. It looks like, given that's stuck at 19,480, it looks like 3 speed upgrades is exactly exactly 80 redstone flux per tick. Because if it was more than 80, it would go down. If it was less than 80, it'd go up. The fact that it's holding steady looks like that's the correct amount there. So it looks like you could put 3 speed upgrades in, so long as you have at least 1 wireless RF transmitter nearby. Let me test something here. I am being told by the Twitch chat that if we put this in, obviously now we're using more than 80, but we can potentially just put down another wireless transmitter, and at that point, that doesn't work, eh? Okay. So either that's using more than 160, which seems unlikely, or you can only have 1 of these connected per machine. So I think these actually share an output, which is unfortunate. It means that you can't have a machine that uses more than 80 redstone flux per tick. But that's actually perfectly fine. I think 3 speed upgrades, given the automated nature of this, given the fact that these are going to be going basically forever, I think that's perfectly fine. So at this point, all we want to do is set that to eject continuously, and then we can, of course, go ahead and lock that. And now we have automated iron and automated iron dust. Nice. And we can again turn this back on for now, at least, to keep the iron supply coming in to match the dust supply. Isaac, you locked it to iron dust. Sorry, that's my bad. This wants to be stardust, not iron dust. That is my bad, chat. There we go. Now we have automated iron and automated stardust. Nice. Next up on the list was, I guess, gold dust, right? We can do the exact same thing over here. We can have node, grinder. This one wants gold, so there's no point in using the porcupine here. We might as well just go ahead and make a new infinite gold source. One thing that people in the YouTube comments, or some people I should say in the YouTube comments, were a little confused about, you can't make an infinite source of anything in the game. You can only make an infinite source of certain things. So like you can do it with gold, but if, for example, I tried to make an infinite iron source, that doesn't work. You can only make infinite sources for the base 4 items that were given to you at the start of the pack, that being ice, gold, marble, and oak, dark oak wood. Those are the only things that you can make unlimited amounts of. Everything else you have to automate like this. That's kind of the whole point of the pack. But yeah, here we can totally go ahead and just do this and this. Make sure that pumps down to there. Make sure that pumps down to there. Set this to continually eject, and of course, I think this might be a bit too far away, I guess. Oh no, it's not. It's perfectly close enough. I do wonder how this works in terms of power. It looks like this guy might send 80 RF per tick to both machines, which is pretty nice. For now, I guess we'll go and split this like 50-50. We'll have 2 speed upgrades in each. We do need to be cautious, of course, because the more speed upgrades we use, the more grid power we use as well. Right now, that's not a huge deal. We do have 64 grid power, and we're only using about 18 of that. Of course, if we start flying, we start using 49 of it, which gets us a lot closer to that 64 amount. We can, if we want, look at getting other mills. Specifically, we can, I believe, get the Dragon Egg mill here. The mill itself, obviously not super hard, would require 2 nether stars, but we've made those before. They are doable. The pack does allow you to make the Dragon Egg, and it doesn't look too difficult, honestly. The drop of evil is Nocturnal Powder, which is a quest that we need to do, and we can probably do that fairly easily. Obsidian, we've seen, again, not too bad. A little bit tedious, but definitely doable. Dragon's Breath is just water and magenta dye. Super easy. The egg here, again, not too bad. The bean we saw earlier is doable, and parchment is just paper. And Aquamarine, the hardest part is the elytra. It requires some feathers, but those are both doable, as is the string and the Spectre ingot. So I think we could fairly soon look at getting a Dragon Egg mill. The Dragon Egg mill produces 500 grid power per mill, which is super nice. Again, it is still affected by the efficiency loss. So if you try to make multiple of them, you do start to lose a lot of grid power quickly, or at least you lose a lot of efficiency. So your subsequent Dragon Egg mills are not very good. But we could put down at least one of them to bump up our grid power to 564, which hopefully would be enough for quite some time. The final piece of the puzzle over here, of course, is to once again grab a storage drawer and one more of our item collectors, and of course throw that down right about here. Make sure we have the item collector down like so, and that should hopefully pick up the glowstone. It totally did, and then we can go ahead and lock that. Good stuff. And so now we have automated iron, stardust, and glowstone. Nice. Okay, it's all coming together, chat. It is all coming together. I guess at this point, we should probably look at automating redstone. That's probably one of the next things we want to automate. For that, we are going to need another set of translocators, which thankfully are not too bad, especially now that we have, and it looks like we are going to have to make more sooty marble, although actually you can probably, and by probably I mean definitely, chisel that back. But yeah, this is going to be a lot easier now that we have things like stardust automated and gold just on tap. So that is pretty much, yeah, just everything we need for a new set of translocators there. Apart from, of course, that one singular marble pillar. Perfect. So over here, we want to have a crusher. Above this crusher, though, we want to have our ender chest. Because this time around, we're of course going to pull some of these radiant crystals. Those are going to be crushed down into crystal dust. This one is definitely too far away, I think, from this guy. Yeah, it is. That's totally fine, though. We can, of course, go ahead and put another one down right about here. That should cover if we put a crusher over there as well. So that's going to send power up like that. Perfect. And then, of course, we want to send that down as well. Translocator there. And, yeah, that should make redstone. Nice. Let's get one more storage drawer going there. Now, we are out of storage drawers here, but that is, again, perfectly fine. The actual drawer itself is just sticks and planks, I believe. The frame drawer, that is. Oh, sticks and chests. Also perfectly fine. There we go. A little janky. In fact, I might even move these guys. And I have put my axe over here. But I think I might actually put these kind of facing forward. Like, put them here instead of here. Like that. At that point, it kind of feels like maybe we should rotate those things to face forward as well. There we go. Perfect. So, if we look at liquid starlight here, the last 3 items are some of the more difficult ones to make. Nether Quartz is actually not difficult at all. It's just the crystals here dropped down. It's at this point that it would be nice if we had a way to throttle how fast these were going through. I don't think that the translocators have a way to slow down how fast items go through them. Unfortunately, I don't think that's a thing they can do. You can filter items, but that's not really what we're after. Because what I don't want is I don't want all of our raw radiant quartz here being turned into nether quartz, right? We only want some nether quartz. And then as for the other two, we have prismarine crystals and diamonds, which both are linked to the actual making of prismarine shards themselves. So in order to make those, we first have to automate the making of prismarine shards, which shouldn't be too difficult. We do also have to teach something how to make the radiant quartz, which I think is doable, but does again require a lot of crystals. Yeah, okay. Let's start, chat, by looking at the automation of Aquamarine. So if we want to automate the production of Aquamarine, allowing us to automate the production of prismarine shards, we have to craft together ice and marble. Thankfully, of course, we do have ice and marble sources of the infinite variety, and hopefully we do have both of those. We do indeed. Perfect. So our good old friend Extra Utilities 2 does also add a few crafters. There is the mechanical crafter and the analog crafter. There is a quest for it up here as well. The analog crafter and the mechanical crafter are your two flavors of auto crafter. Both of these crafters have their perks, so use them accordingly. I think we probably want to go with the mechanical crafter, not least because it looks the best of all of the two available crafters here. It has like a marble specific texture for the pack, which is very nice indeed. I think we might actually want to go with the analog crafter. It does look worse, but as the quest book alludes here, they have their pros and cons. I believe the way the mechanical crafter works is you can specify a recipe at the top, and then it has kind of an input buffer along the bottom and then an output buffer. But I think that the mechanical crafter is subject to kind of filling up on one particular item, whereas the analog crafter here allows you to kind of set it up in such a way that it never backs up with one of any given item. We'll make both of these, and I'll try and show what I mean here. They're not too difficult to make, honestly. We just need one more rock crystal if we're going to make the mechanical crafter. And I'm assuming that we will be able to use the mechanical crafter at some point fairly soon anyway. So let's go and let's get another one of these. And then what are we missing here for this guy? We're missing one rock crystal. As well as 2 stardust. And then for the analog crafter, we need 4 engraved infused wood, which is 4 infused wood planks. So we do have 1 infused wood, I believe. We totally do. We can craft that down into infused wood planks, and then we can craft that up into the engraved infused wood planks, like that. Perfect. And then at that point, it is a crafting table, which is easy enough. And in fact, we probably already have a crafting table from earlier hanging around in here somewhere. We totally do. No point in making a new one there. And then 2 gold and 2 stardust. So 2 gold and 2 stardust. And that should be the analog crafters. Perfect. So the analog crafter is definitely the crafter I'm more familiar with. This one allows us to, for example, grab the marble and I think was it ice? Yeah, marble and ice. It allows you to turn on sticky, so it will keep at least one of each item in its slots here. So for example, we could do ice and marble, at which point it's never going to use the last item in the slot here, so it's always going to stay with this crafting recipe. We can then go ahead and turn on spread items, and we can also go ahead and actually leave these as they are for now. So at this point, if we wanted to, we could have ice pumping in from one side, marble pumping in from the other, and as those items go in there, they'll be evenly distributed, and we'll begin to auto-craft Aquamarine. Pretty cool. Now, as for the mechanical crafter, this guy, I don't believe uses any item for its like recipe up here. I think it just takes an image of your item. Yeah, so it doesn't actually use any items. However, I don't know if I was to start pumping items in here. I think it's possible that all of these input inventories could fill up with one given item. I think it's unlikely given that we have infinite of an item, of both of our items, right? Like we have infinite ice and we have infinite marble. But unlike the analog crafter, where there's no possibility for overflow. I think it's possible there is here. It really depends on whether or not the mechanical crafter fills up all the slots or if it just fills up one stack and waits. So let me test this here. If we grab our translocators and we do this, yeah, you can kind of see the potential issue here. So I don't think it's going to be an issue with the mechanical crafter simply because we have infinite ice and infinite marble. If, for example, we were making something, like if we were making the ice and there was a possibility that our system would break and we would stop making more ice, then the marble could kind of fill up, right? Like, for example, if we were to turn this off and take all the ice out, the system could get backed up on marble. That doesn't seem likely given that we have infinite items, so maybe the mechanical crafter here is fine. I'm being told by the Twitch chat that the analog crafter can pull directly from adjacent inventories. Let's give that a try. So I put this like here, and I put you here. Oh, it totally does. Look at that. That makes it the clear favorite then. So you can just place down the mechanical crafter, and so long as you have inventories either side that have the items you want, it will just craft those into the item that you're after. So in this case, it's just crafting the Aquamarine for us. That is super useful. And is also, of course, going to be the way that we automate ender pearls as well. Of course, with ice and gold, as opposed to marble and ice. But that is super neat. So now we just have to decide where we're going to put that, which is a good question, honestly. We could actually, I guess, put them maybe in the middle of some of these droppers here. So it's a little janky, but what about something like this, where we have a drawer for Aquamarine, like right here. And then we have just translocators kind of back here, moving that Aquamarine into the drawer. And then we could potentially do the same thing on this side for ender pearls. It would mean having to move... Oh, no, we wouldn't even have to move the ender porcupine, right? And we could put this down like right about there, and then do the exact same thing, of course. So in here, we're going to say ender pearls. That's going to start automatically making ender pearls, which is perfect. We can then have another drawer. I'm just going to grab all the remaining ones here because we don't need to keep crafting those one at a time. Boom. Boom. And boom. And there we go. So we now have iron, ender pearls, stardust, aquamarine, glowstone, and redstone all automated and ready to go in this kind of janky but also kind of great little auto-crafting wall that we have right here, which I'm a big fan of. So now, if we wanted to make radiant quartz, like the shaped radiant quartz here, which we need for the prismarine shards, what we would want to do there... Ooh, I do want to test something. So I'm thinking, what we need to do, we need to take our crystals, our radiant quartz crystals. We then need to craft those into a block to then be crushed, right? We do need another crusher for that. But essentially, I'm thinking we'll have translocator here. Wait, is that right? Yes. This one's going to be quite something. We're going to have a translocator there. Above that, we're going to have a crafter. That's going to craft the radiant quartz with the aquamarine. Above that, we need the crusher for the radiant quartz. So we need translocator into... I'm going to put this as a crusher. Imagine this is a crusher. And then above that is where we need an ender chest. You can't put things on here. Translocators. That's fine. Up here is where the chest is going to be, right? So we're going to have radiant quartz. Oh, no, we need another one. We need another... This needs to be one further up. Oh, no. I do also wish these ender chests broke a little quicker. But we need another crafter and then the ender chest. This is getting very tall, chat. Obviously, we don't have to go completely vertically. We could have like a couple of machines a bit further down. But this is the general game plan because we have to take the radiant quartz, craft it into a block of radiant quartz, crush it into the crystal, right? To make the shaped crystal. Up until now, we've been making it in the gem cutters table, which is much more efficient, but we can't automate this. If we want to automate it, we have to get first a block of the quartz, which is crafted here, then crush it into the crystal form, then craft that with the aquamarine, and then drop that resultant prismarine shard down to get the prismarine crystals, right? And at that point, we also need to like kind of siphon off some of those prismarine shards, because we then need to craft some of the prismarine shards with the prismarine crystals to make sea lanterns. And then later on down the line, we can look at automating those sea lanterns into lapis to then drop the lapis into liquid starlight on its own to make diamonds, right? Oh boy. All right. So there's another crusher. And so at that point, we can then go ahead and get rid of the sooty marble here and maybe bring all this together, right? So I'll put you there. We'll, of course, put down another wireless power node. For now, we can put it right there. That should, I believe, still connect. It does indeed. Perfect. So let's see then. Does this work? So we're going to go ahead and teach this here how to make these blocks, right? That's what we're having there. And we're going to pull that in. Perfect. This is like a bit of a problem. Again, we either need to massively increase our radiant quartz production, like over here, which we might want to do anyway. We might want to make just like a bunch of these to really bump it up, because certain systems like this are going to start tearing through it, which is going to like hurt our supply of redstone and our supply of nether quartz going forward if we leave it going, full time. But for now, that's fine, I think. We're then going to bring that down. That's going to get crushed, right? Right now, fairly slow, but that's okay. That's then going to come down again once it's been crushed. And at that point, we're looking to make this. And so here, I'm kind of thinking this is where maybe we can once again utilize the power of the porcupine. If, for example, we put the porcupine here, given this thing can pull from adjacent inventories, I'm hoping if we make this think it's a framed drawer, that it can potentially just pull the aquamarine directly in from there. So this is moving in the negative X direction by quite a few blocks. I'm actually not quite sure how many blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. Look at that. It's perfect. And then we're going in the positive. Yeah, positive Z direction by 2 blocks. 3 blocks, sorry. And then down, I can actually see it now, down by 2. So can that pull it in? Oh, look at that, chat. I love these things. These ender porcupines are fantastic. They are using too much grid power now, because now we're over the, the fact that we're using 33.12 now means that we don't have enough for me to fly anymore, which is a bit of a shame. But this actually works. That's incredible. And so now this is auto-crafting the prismarine shards, which we could then, if we wanted to, pump down into here. We can get that right click in. There we go. And, if we wanted to, we could set those to drop. And that makes the crystals. And again, just to finish that up, let's go ahead and put down a chest here. We are missing the collectors. But again, those are actually super easy. We already have basically everything for it. Not being able to fly is a bit of a pain. And again, I think our ability to fly is going to fluctuate simply due to the fact that this guy over here kind of fluctuates how much grid power he uses, right? Like if this is below 32, then we're good to go. But if it goes above 32, like it might do sometimes, like it fluctuates between 1 and 4. If it goes above 32, then we're in trouble. So with our current setup, we're just going to occasionally fall from the sky if we don't increase our grid power amount, which I think is fine. There's no risk of death here, I don't think. And like I mentioned before, we should be able to fairly easily get more grid power going forward. And in the next stream, we might even look at trying to get that dragon egg mill, because I really do want to try and get really as much grid power as we can, so we can keep using cool stuff like these porcupines and like speed upgrades to make all of our stuff faster. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the Star Factory portion of today's stream there.